Larson Hills.
Sorry, things are a little slow for us tonight getting online. We apologize.
Oh, you're there. We got you right on time. Please go ahead.
Just want to apologize if our streaming and our camera or our voice is a little slow tonight. We've taken an emotional break to come to the great state of Arizona to take an emotional break from the overwhelming emotional situation that we've been in. I do want to share with you, I want to thank you, Chair Clem, and committee members for letting us speak tonight. I have my husband, Kevin Hills, standing with me this evening. He is we were both permanent residents of Detroit, but Kevin and the Hills family have been long-term residents of Detroit. His father, Harold Hills, who passed away in December from COVID, was one of the original city council members. Excuse me, I get very emotional. We were there the night that the fires came over the Beachy Creek Saddle Ridge, and it barreled down in our home. I wanted to share with you, I was the council member that called Mayor Trett to let him know that it was on its way. We did not have any warnings, and praise God for the Marion County deputies that were there who helped us that evening. They were there with their bullhorns, and they stuck in there by our sides, risked their lives to put them on the lines for us. And they didn't know what direction to send us, but they were there for us. I want to share with you, it was a really horrific night, losing our home. We were permanent residents, and our home is a total loss. I'm a mental health professional, and I was home that day working all day doing telemedicine appointments and watching the smoke get thicker and thicker. I had just built a new home office that was overlooking Detroit Lake and Piety Island. I was watching for the planes to come, and they didn't come. And so I knew that I had set up a warning on next door to my neighbors that there was a windstorm coming, because I was very concerned that this fire would be coming our way. So, and it did. I want to share with you that we were able to escape that night in the middle of the night. My daughter, who also lived in the community with her significant other, who was 6 weeks away from giving birth to my granddaughter, we put her in my truck, and I got in the truck with my husband. And again, thank God he's a mountain man, because we would have never survived that night coming down out of there if it hadn't been for him and his skills and them right hot on our trail. There were trees down over the highway, and because of his having navigated the mountains all those years, he was able to know what direction to go with the trees and stuff, and they followed us. We didn't know whether to go east or west. Kevin had talked to deputies who suggested that we go west, and we did, and it saved our lives. We did drive through Gates, seeing it on fire. We did drive through Mill City. Again, it was on fire. We drove through the other end of Mill City, and the fire was shooting up and out of the trees. The wind blew, and we were in the forest fire. There are parts of our vehicles that are forever damaged because they were burned. Things like brake linings and things like that were burned because we literally drove through the fire. Since then, it's been a nightmare. I've applied for FEMA, was denied. I've applied for FEMA. I was denied because we did have homeowner insurance with State Farm. State Farm has been kind of a challenge to work with. We didn't have our displacement insurance for a good 10 to 15 days. We had to rely on friends and family. We had to stay in my office that I have in Albany, Oregon. My daughter had to stay there. My daughter was never offered any sort of housing options. My son-in-law, future son-in-law, works for Canes Marina. Still to this day, they've not been offered any sort of options for housing. They're very low income. My daughter can't work because she's had a baby, and my son-in-law is working intermittently for Canes Marina when they have work for him. So we've done our best to support them. We also have a stepson who lived in Gates who lost his home. My stepdaughter-in-law just gave birth to her baby 6 weeks early because of the stress from having had this fire. And thank God our grandson, Henry, is okay. He had to go to the NICU, but he's okay and they're going to be able to go home this week. But I have no doubts that the stress of this fire has put them in that position. The thing that I'm challenged with this fire is that there's been no housing options really offered. There's been no help from FEMA. I've applied for SBA. I was told that it's a known issue with SBA that folks run out of money before they are able to completely rebuild their homes. They offered me some money, but of course they want to take all of my State Farm money, and there's just simply not enough money to rebuild my home in Detroit. We're trying to buy another home in another area, and it breaks my heart I don't get to go home. I want to share with you all that I have been challenged with the government in Detroit. Mayor Trett is a personal friend of mine. He married me and my husband, Kevin. And Commissioner Page is also a personal friend, and his wife is a personal friend. The challenge is that the situation is way beyond their expertise. They're in there, they're showing up to council members, they're doing their very best, but the whole situation is beyond anybody's expertise. Trying to figure out water systems when your job has been other things is like beyond. Looking at this time, we're looking at options for that, but there just hasn't been the money. We need to link up with IDANA, or we need to look at the old well that was there that they didn't even know was there, or they're looking at alternative water systems. We need someone to come in to give some guidance to our city council who actually has expertise in this, and to work with us to give them the expertise. These people are showing up, their hearts are in the right place. We just don't have the leadership that has experienced anything on this level, and how could we? I'm just very stressed because, like our city recorder, Kelly, the previous gentleman who spoke, it's his wife. I adore Kelly. She's one of my personal friends. How was she supposed to know, as the city recorder of Detroit, that this job that she took on was going to incorporate on this level? And I'm just saying, we need money and help with our fire department. We need money and help with our water system. We need city oversight. We need to look at, I'm sorry, but we need to look at the situation that's going on there, and we need help. Also, they need to look at the warning systems that are in place to warn people. This could have cost a lot of lives. Praise God, it did not. Praise God, all of our people of our community got out, including our deputies and our first responders, because this really could have ended in a much worse way. I still question why this fire wasn't put out ahead of time. I watched it. I watched it smoke up there. I watched that there was no plane set. I watched it that day as it came on, and no warning systems that we needed to get out. I called at 1:30 in the morning when it's coming over the Beachy Creek saddle. And so, you know, I appreciate that y'all are letting me talk beyond my 3 minutes tonight, but this is something I'm very passionate about. I would like to ask that we have some funding. There is nobody in place that knows how to ask FEMA for the money we need, knows how to approach the legislature for the money we need. Our Mayor Tritt is getting the word out there about what our challenges are, but we have no city manager in place that knows how to do these requests that we need to do. We need to rebuild our city hall at $500,000. We need a 3-year city operating budget at $500,000. We need our water line reconstruction budget of $300,000. We need sewer line reconstruction budget at $20 million. Our IDANA Detroit Fire District is asking for $148,000. We need help asking for this money, knowing where to go to get it, and get it brought into our community. There were dollars that were recently given away from our legislator, and we didn't get a dollar of it because we have nobody in place that's actually asking for it. We need somebody that's overlooking the monies that have come from our insurance policies to rebuild our city and actually tracking that money. Those types of things that need to be done are far outstripped of our staff that we have in place, and not because they're bad people, not because their heart's in the right place, but because they simply have never operated at this level and they don't have that kind of education or expertise. I implore to you guys as our committee tonight to hear me and to hear the others that are speaking before us and help us bring in some help to manage, to direct people, to bring these dollars into our community. I don't want to see Detroit die, and it's headed that way if we don't get help. And I'm sorry I'm emotional, but it was the place that I went to refill my cup every weekend, where I met my husband, Kevin, when he drove me in the backhoe, and we plowed the parking lot of the church that was right across the street from my house. We need help. And I want to get back and see my community members, and I want to have hope that I'm going to have something on my burned out lot in Detroit, and that it will no longer look like a war zone, which is what it looks like right now. So I'm asking for your help. Take a look at what's going on there. Give us some help. Talk to more of the community members, and please hear us. The other piece, last piece I'll mention is our work staff. When we do eventually get some businesses going up there, there is zero housing. My son-in-law, who works for Canes Marina, is having to live joined with us in Mahama, and he has to drive up there every day. That's not realistic when you're working for $15 an hour. We need some help. So thank you for listening to me tonight.
Thank you, Vickie. Let me just say, folks, I think we're going to have to hold a whole separate hearing. I'm just coming to this conclusion after only 4 people talking. A whole separate hearing on why the Forest Service didn't put out the fire sooner. So what I'm going to ask folks tonight is hold those questions, because I had a friend who called me. We talked about it, the next day. I read some newspaper articles about it, and then honestly, I've lost track if there was an actual investigation done. But I realized that part of recovery is getting some questions answered, and so for tonight, what I'd ask is maybe let's set that aside. That could have been stopped. I definitely understand that, but we will dig into that. We don't control the Forest Service, but we can certainly ask questions. And for folks who are able to do sort of what Vickie, you did right there at the end with the list of the needs for you and your community, those are the things that really help us. And I think a lot of us are getting a better sense that this is way more traumatic, and there's a lot more anger than I probably realized, even though I have friends who lost their homes. We're gonna have a tough time tonight, and that's okay. These are not easy conversations. So I do want folks to focus though on what can we do to help you right now? We know it was tough that day, but what can we do to help you now? And Vickie, that last piece was great. I wrote a lot of it down, and we recorded the rest. So